Very good evening to you, and welcome back to West Ham Unofficial. Welcome back to the Premier League Roundup show. I had my sabbatical last week, and quite frankly, I wish I stayed there. To be honest with you, because it hasn't got any better, but I hope you are all well. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. The normal crew are with me. Josh, how are you?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. Sean, grinning as ever. How are you?
Oh, really good, mate. Clocks have changed. We've got to make the most of the extra hours like this in the morning, but when you got to get up that early, it's a small benefit.
I know. Well, 5 o'clock is dark now. The lights are closing in. But yeah, it is.
Soon be Christmas, mate. Soon be Christmas.
Exactly. Have you got your decorations down yet?
Don't give the wife ideas because we're not far away from it at
all. Jolly good. Terry, thanks for mentioning D for joining us. Josh's granddad here, rightfully. We will get on to the game a little bit later on. Let's start in South London then. Not a nice place to go on a Friday night, but another mission accomplished for Big Ange, Postecoglou, Crystal Palace 1, Spurs 2. Sean.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much my stuff you've read over the weekend, but I had this down as probably one of our toughest games so far. Not because of we played United, we played Arsenal, we played Liverpool, but just toughness. And that was basically how it turned out. We didn't create as much as we have in other games. They tried to rough us up a lot. Lots of fouls, just a sort of tough evening I was expecting a little bit, and I did sort of half expect Hodgson to suss us out a little bit, or at least have a plan to stop us. But yeah, we got the job done. We didn't create loads. They had 2 or 3 half chances. I think we sort of went through the gears a little bit in the second half. I think we had something like 73% possession. That's a lot of possession to have away from home to anyone. But yeah, the Palace, I think Hodgson come out and criticised the youngsters he brought on. So I don't really know what's going on there. I can almost see that coming to another end soon. I don't really see where they're going as a club, to be honest. But it was a good win. I knew it would be a tough night. We forced sort of the own goal. We put the pressure on, and a great ball in by Maddison. He just panicked and put his leg out. The second goal was the sort of move that we do in most games, where the ball's at the back, we pass, little dummy, little flick, and next thing you know, it's like 7 passes, 5 or 6 different players, and we're scoring a tap-in. It's the sort of when Ange's system works perfect. It's like when you see one of those goals where we literally just carve through a team, that no one gets near it, pass, goal. They got a late goal. I'm baffled why it was given. I don't know if you've seen their goal or not.
And this is the interesting part of it. Once again, we're sat talking about the handball rule. Now, I get both sides of it because correct me if I'm wrong, the ball goes off of his chest and onto his arm, but it led directly. The ball was going in a different direction. It did impact the way the ball was going. There's no doubt about it. He sort of rested against his arm, rolled down, and it's a great finish.
I thought it hit his arm, upper arm, then sort of rolled down his arm. I'll be honest, I don't think anyone expected it to be given. No. I think commentary was surprised. I think the Tottenham player, I think Maddison had been subbed off by that point, and he was looking at the bloke by the monitor thinking, how's that been given? Like, it's one of them ones, the conspiracy theorists are thinking, obviously we got away with that one versus Liverpool, so we'll probably get a few to swing back the other way. Do you know what I mean? It didn't affect the game at all, but it did make the last minute and a half a tiny bit nervy, but it shouldn't have been. But I thought if it led directly to the goal, it would be handball, and I think even the player was probably a little bit survived. It was a great win. Tough. I knew it would be tough.
Sean, you've just got your finger over the microphone. You sound like you're underwater. There we go. That's better.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, put us 5 points clear for a day or so, didn't it? So a bit of daylight there. But yeah, it's the old cliche. I think there's 4 or 5 teams now who look like they're putting a bit of a run together, a bit of form. When they play games, you can't really see them dropping many points unless they play against each other. So yeah, very good win. We've got Chelsea next Monday now, and it's probably similar to both your teams when they changed all the fixtures around for TV and all that nonsense. And I think Amazon Prime have got a weekend of it again, haven't they? Or midweeks.
Usually over Christmas they get some, don't they?
Oh yeah, I think they've got 2 lots at the end of December. I want to say. Yeah. So and every game's on. I think the last lot, I think we got moved. I think we got 6 games moved out of 8, and we don't forget we're just. I know we got no Europe this year, so it makes them easier for them to move us around. Really, I get that.
Yeah.
But we went. I think we had Monday night against Fulham, and then they managed to put us on Friday night, and now we're playing the following Monday. I think we've got like one. I think it was 2 Saturday games between now and Christmas. Yeah. So
the big question is, though, Josh, do you have Amazon Prime Video, or are you going to have to fork out £6 to watch a game?
No, we do have it, thankfully. Oh. But just on that topic, we've had 7 Sunday games on the bounce by the end of this run.
Welcome to European football, Josh.
Yeah, we'd have had 7 games on the run, and our last 3 o'clock game was September, and our next 3 o'clock Saturday game is 30th of December. So it is a bit silly, really. And like next week, we're playing on a Sunday against Forest, and it doesn't even need to be on a Sunday because we're not even playing in Europe, which is what frustrates me.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I can't remember if it was last season or the season before. We had 2 Saturday 3 o'clock games all season, which is ridiculous. And we have 1 Saturday 3 o'clock at home all year, and it was right at the start of the season. That was a couple of years ago.
That's only going to get worse, isn't it? Because they've opened up more TV sort of slots.
Yeah,
like they've got. Is it Sunday evening they're bringing in, and
some Dumbo's grand idea to put a game on Christmas Eve as well. I think Wolves versus Chelsea's like 3 o'clock on Christmas Eve or something, which is just stupid in itself. But hey ho, it is what it is. Right, let's move on. Let's move to North London, and in a game where it looks relatively routine. I mean, you've got to be a bad side if Eddie Nketiah is scoring a hat-trick. I mean, no offence to Sheffield United, but not a good afternoon for them. Arsenal 5, Sheffield United 0. Josh, they just get worse and worse.
Yeah, it's funny on Sheffield United. I thought first 5 or 6 games, they didn't do too badly. They were unlucky in quite a few of the games. Nottingham Forest away in the second game of the season, they were quite unlucky. Probably should have won that. Manchester City at home, the next game, they could have got it from that. Everton at home, they were also unlucky not to win that. And obviously Spurs, you can see the 2 goals in stoppage time, so a little bit unlucky there as well. So they weren't doing too badly first 5 or 6 games. They had a little glimmer of hope. I mean, since that Newcastle game, it's just they've been battered every game, really. I'm surprised they haven't sacked that Heckingbottom yet, and I know there's been rumours last few weeks they're going to get Wilder back, but I'm not sure if that's true, because I think if they were going to do it, they would have done it by now. They've took quite a few drubbings already. Thankfully, I did put Eddie Nketiah in my fantasy team this week.
I saw that, Josh, and I went, you jammy.
Yeah, I wanted to get Watkins in, but I had too many Villa players in, so I seen they had Sheffield United, and I just put him in. So that was
this rotten luck here, Sean. Me and you, we're struggling, and Josh is flipping put Nketiah, and he's got that trick.
I just forget it even exists. That's my problem.
Anyway, go on, Josh.
Yeah, so not much else to say really. Just you're always going to expect Arsenal to win a game like that. He did take all his goals quite fair, a few really good finishes. And then got a penalty, which is quite blatant, really. I don't even think they give it first time. Then they'd have to go to VAR, and then they give it. Fabio Vieira scored, and that was it, really. I think Arsenal, they're going to, I think they'll be closest to Man City this season, probably closer than Liverpool, but I still think once Man City get through the players back, Rodri, De Bruyne, they'll be fine again. Obviously, beat United yesterday, so I still don't think they'll get too close to Man City, but yeah, another good win for Arsenal, but you'd expect them to, really.
Yeah, routine win for the Gunners. I didn't even bother watching the highlights because I can just expect what happened.
Did you know they've had 6 penalties already, Arsenal?
What are you suggesting, Sean?
Well, the press wanted them to win the league last year, and it didn't quite happen. That's all I'm suggesting.
Yeah, well, they won't be winning it this year. There's only one team that's going to win it. One team that's going to win it, Sean. They ain't going to come from North London, that's for sure. Let's move to the South Coast in what was a really crucial game, actually, for both sides. And Bournemouth came out on top. Now, this has had some VAR press as well because of a 5-minute and 28-second VAR check at the death to rule out a goal for offside. And Bournemouth win 2-1. And Burnley look out of ideas, and Vincent Kompany, I watched his post-match interview actually, where he tried to blame everything but his team and himself. If I was a Burnley fan, Sean, I would be concerned.
Yeah, we spoke about Burnley a little bit in company and where Burnley sit both in the short term and the long term, and I think I'm still none the wiser really. Company's not going to change his style, I don't think. I don't see that. I don't see a lot of players coming into the club. I don't actually see Burnley sacking Company. I think, I don't know what their chairman's like, but it can't be as mental as like a Wolves chairman or a Bournemouth chairman. So yeah, I don't know. It's a brilliant win for Bournemouth. Obviously, their new manager needed it. If you're gonna, it's almost a must-win game. If you'd have lost that, then obviously people are already suggesting that they made a mistake getting him in and sacking Gary O'Neill. But Burnley, yeah, I think a lot of people are now really strongly saying the three that come up will go down. And I know it's Bournemouth's only their first win, but on paper, I still probably take Bournemouth in their style to pick up probably more points.
100%.
But that again, but I just don't know. Out of the three that come up, but Burnley shocked me. I did. Maybe I'm just a bit naive. How I thought they might bring their style and form from the Championship to the Premier League a bit better than this.
It just shows how unpredictable it was, because many people in their Premier League predictions putting Burnley mid-table, and they've struggled.
Yeah, I think it was easy to get carried away because obviously they were good in the Championship. I think people like the fact that he sort of come from Pep and City and all that sort of story. But it just hasn't worked, does it? And I've seen them a couple of times. I can't even tell you who plays up front for them. So when the teams like, I remember a season ago when Fulham come up, and I told you I thought they'd do really well, and they did. But because they had Mitrovic up front, do you know what I mean? They had a force. They had a striker who has done quite well in the Premier League, Mitrovic. But Burnley, they've come up and they just don't really look like scoring. They just look like an average Championship side. I don't know what says that says about the Championship, because they run away with it more or less in the end. So it's.
I think it's showing the. I think in the last couple of seasons, and we'll just discuss that. I think it's shown the divide between the Premier League and the Championship. And if you look at the last couple of seasons, Burnley were amazing last year, and they've struggled here. Leicester have already flown away with the league and the Championship. They're going to win it. Are they unbeaten so far in 14 games or something stupid like that?
Yeah, it's the best start any team's made for the season in the Championship, I think.
So yeah, I think it's just showing the difference and I think it's probably exposing how I mean, we all knew that the Premier League was drastically ahead of the Championship. I think it's probably been exposed even more in the last couple of years, and I think the Burnley example proves that point perfectly.
But the thing is, again, sorry, I'm not sure you want to get on, but the thing with Burnley as well, where surprised me, I know I moaned about it last year. I don't want to moan about the Premier League all this year as well. There's a crop in the middle of the league who aren't that great. Like Palace, they're going to be Palace. Fulham have dropped off. Do you know what I mean? Which you probably thought they would. Obviously losing Mitrovic. There's a group around that mid-table, lower mid-table. Wolves, for example. These aren't great for teams, and they're probably all still better than the likes of Burnley who run away with the Championship. So it's. Yes.
A concerning stat for Burnley is this one. Lone Star London. And Burnley have conceded 25 goals in 10 games. If they want any chance of staying in this league, Josh, that needs to change.
Yeah, I do think if the three to come up could go straight back down. It does just show the gap in quality between the Championship and the Premier League. I think they won the league by about 20 points last season. And everyone was saying they're going to come out 10th and they were going to play all this good football and it's going to work for them. But they let Ashley Barnes go, and really now, even if they did switch to like a one sort of system, then they haven't really got that focal point up top. As Sean said, I couldn't really tell you who plays up front for them. So they haven't. If they did, they can't really change their style now. They've not really got that much Premier League experience. That's the problem. They spent quite a bit in the summer, but they didn't really sign any Premier League experienced players. They signed James Trafford, who was a League One goalkeeper last season, and they've dropped the goalie who got them up in the Championship last season, which I just think is really harsh and bizarre. And I do think it is a bit like the league split into two halves this year. So you've got like the big six who I think will end up in the top half. Then you've got Villa, Brighton, West Ham, Brentford, and then I think just the bottom half are nowhere near them.
It's brave putting us in there, Josh.
No, I do think this will be up there. You've got the quality is much better than teams like Palace, Fulham, Wolves. I don't think these teams will be in any danger of going down, but they'll be about 14, 15, 13, 12, along that sort of range. But yeah, it is sort of like the league split into two halves last couple of years. It's strange.
Certainly is. Certainly is.
Let me ask you both a little question. It's probably easy to answer because football managers are bloody boring, aren't they? A lot of the managers. But with give it a month, or say month, say Christmas, it might already look that the 3 teams are almost destined to drop.
Yeah.
Do you think that will give the managers of a lot of the players you both have mentioned, just to give it a bit more of a go? Do you know what I mean? Like even all those mid-table sides you just mentioned, most of the managers play not to lose and are a bit scared to lose. With the 3 bottom ones, I don't think any of them are going to get over 10 points before we get to Christmas. Not a chance. So I don't know. It just might open a few clubs up. Like managers might just want to entertain. I don't know. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. But they've got a license not to be boring. A lot of these coaches.
Because I think, and Josh, just to add to that, because of those 3 teams there, it's obvious who's going to drop. It's going to be those. It's going to be those 3. I think. Do you think that's going to give the incentive, or not? I don't think so. That's my answer, Josh.
No, I think if they're like bottom of Christmas, I just don't really see what that's going to do. I think, I don't know, maybe they might try new things, but I just don't see how it's not going to change much. The teams haven't got the quality. Luton, they've just got a championship squad. They got up through the playoffs. They come about 4th or 5th. They got a championship squad, really. They've hardly spent any money. And Sheffield United, same really, and Burnley, just no Premier League experience. And I get they probably will try and change things around Christmas and maybe try and play a bit better football, at least be a bit more entertaining. I see where you're coming from, but I don't think it's going to change the Premier League status, to be honest.
Yeah. The Premier League could do with spicing up a little bit because it's getting a bit boring. I have to admit. Let's move on though, because otherwise we will be here all night. Next up, Chelsea 0, Brentford 2. I think it's straight back to you, Josh. Actually.
Yeah, it's just Chelsea last couple of years. In the first half, they had all the ball. They had quite a few chances as well. I think I saw the stats and they've won like 1 in 15 at Stamford Bridge now, and Brentford have won more times there since April than Chelsea, which is just unbelievable, really. They did have quite a few chances first half, just the story of the last 12 months, really. It's just a young team with no chemistry who can't seem to score goals. Nicholas Jackson, he looked fairly decent at the start, still saying next Drogba and all this, and I don't think he's scored since then. And then Armando Broja, who come into the week and got a goal, I think. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't even think he started since. Rather bizarre. And then Brentford just hit them on the counter twice in the second half. The goalie goes up for the last minute corner, and then they hit them on the break. Neil Maupay somehow gets outpaced by the goalkeeper. It falls to Mbeumo, who's definitely a good fantasy Premier League pick. He's doing very well this season. I think the first goal was scored by Ethan Pinnock, the defender, which is strange as well. So, yeah, Brentford, I think they're going to be that side. They're not going to be in any danger going down. They're not going to be going for Europe. Just one of them. I feel like there's quite a lot of sides and that this year. It's just the league's gone very strange recently. But I think they'll be around halfway again. Another good performance for them. And it's worrying for Chelsea still. They look like they were back. We've got a couple of wins together. Should have beat Arsenal really the other week, and then they blew it with 20 minutes to go. And yeah, it's not been too good for them.
I said at the start of the season I expected Chelsea and Man United to be somewhere around normality again, and I think I'm going to be wrong. After watching Chelsea and Manchester United this weekend, I can genuinely see them being in a similar position to last year. I think Chelsea could be there or thereabouts again. I think Manchester United will drop down because Tottenham are going to come up into that bracket, and I think Man United will be the team that drops down.
I don't know if you remember, Jake,
how poor they've been.
I called this at the start. I couldn't believe the amount of people were saying for Chelsea to be up around the top 4, top 6. I don't know if you can remember. I just couldn't see it before a ball was kicked. I couldn't see how they were going to be up around that area. I couldn't see it at all. I still think probably you'll finish above Chelsea. Both of you finish above. I just couldn't see how. Even you look at the betting odds, they were like tipped to finish around 5th and 6th. I couldn't get it from the start. I really couldn't. Nothing surprised me at all.
I can see why people thought they were going to do well because they've got no Europe and a new manager and things might be better. But I never thought they'd get like top 4. I just had them about 6th, 7th. But I didn't think they'd be doing this bad again.
We'll see whether there's any improvement in that, but it's mildly amusing to see them lot not very good once again. Let's move to Molineux, where it was Desmond Wolves 2, Newcastle United 2. I think this is the 5:30 kickoff. Actually, I watched a bit of this. Quite a good and open game for the part that I watched. Sean, good result for Wolves, probably not for Newcastle.
I think Newcastle, a bit like Brighton, will probably notice the European toll taking its toll, if you call it that. There's another one with an iffy penalty decision, wasn't there? He sort of air kicked it. I don't know. With Newcastle, obviously they've got all the billions at the club, and I think last year I think they're probably ahead of schedule, finishing in the top 4, possibly partly due to the likes of Tottenham, Spurs, Liverpool being way off there how they expect to be. So I think last year they were ahead of schedule. With Europe this year, I think they had a poor result in Europe the other week night as well, didn't they? I think they lost 1-0. Was it Dortmund they lost to 1-0?
Yeah,
I think it was. I think they might just level out a little bit where they maybe expect to be last year. Obviously the extra games being in the cups. To results like this probably won't be that unexpected, especially away from home. At home, even though I've heard a lot of people moan about their own fans, believe it or not, which is something I've never heard before. Moan about their own fan base, leaving games early, things like that. Like I don't know if they're getting like tourists go up there and watching them. Clubs can get like not real fans attend games, but I think they'll be good at home. Away from home, wouldn't shock me if they dropped a few more points than they did last year. I think a game like away to Wolves, a draw. I didn't have a prediction beforehand, but it doesn't shock me massively after a European week. The sort of game where you could see like a few drop points. But yeah, Wolves, like I said a minute ago, they're not a great side. They've got a few good players, some of which might probably be sold in January, knowing them. But they're that sort of middle pack where they probably don't need to do a lot just to climb away from it. Like a home point in Newcastle, they're probably quite happy with that. If they pick, I don't know who they've got in the next few weeks, but they're bound to play one of the bottom 3 in the next month, I'd imagine. If they beat them, that's 3 points. Before you know it, they're up in the mid-20s. So yeah, it's not an unexpected result, really. But I think keeping an eye on Newcastle, especially away from home after Europe, doesn't massively surprise me, this sort of result, really.
Yeah, I would agree. Talking of European hangovers, there was most certainly one in East London yesterday. West Ham 0, Everton 1. Yeah, it was the first time I stood back this season and I went, you could tell one team played in Europe midweek and one didn't. Listen, it's two sides that aren't very entertaining. If the neutral tuned into that game, I'm sure they were pretty disappointed, to be honest with you. Why on earth it was put Super Sunday on TV? I've got no idea. Whoever made that decision was half asleep when they made it, because that baffled me to start with. But the game, look, we started okay for the first 20 minutes, and that's when it all started to go downhill. There's big issues with this side, and it's arose since the international break. Ward-Prowse has been sitting a little bit deeper. He's become a passenger in midfield. We've now got bans for yellow cards for Alvarez and Paqueta for the next couple of games. Emerson was out yesterday, who I thought we missed massively, because Creswell is not a Premier League left back by any stretch of the imagination. No matter how you dress it up, he's not a left back, probably even for the Championship, to be honest with you. So we missed Emerson greatly. And I thought it was just everybody was just below par. It was flat The atmosphere was flat as always, and nobody just seemed to be up for it. And Kudus, a couple of bright little moments in there, but he didn't have a great deal of help around him, to be honest with you. Paqueta's wasted out on the left hand side. That's obvious. You know, he got frustrated. He started chucking his arms up in the air, diving around, and he threw his toys out of the pram a little bit. And I think we've gone from a midfield that was fluid and effective to a midfield that looks, and I'll use your terminology, Sean, very disjointed and ineffective. It's been a really tough week, obviously losing to Villa, losing our unbeaten run in Europe midweek, which was unnecessary, I thought. And then losing this game, which was pretty much a must win. It's a game that we would have looked to win, you know, and that's no disrespect to Everton. They turned up, they absorbed any pressure that we put on them, which was minimal. And they scored a goal and they protected their lead well. Fair play to them. Perfect away performance in Sean Dyche's eyes, 1-0 win. Not too much bother because we didn't bother them. Yeah, it was really crap. It was really bad. Josh, anything to add?
You could tell both sides were not used to having a lot of the ball. It just seems to me like West Ham are honestly better when they play like a better side than them, where they sit back and hit them on the break. Because when Moyes' team do play a team worse than them, they just don't look like they know what to do. They don't look like they're used to having lots of possession. And Everton were a more dangerous side. Don't get me wrong, I watched that first half. It was one of the worst games of football I've ever seen. But I do think Everton had the better chances. They got in a few times. Jack Harrison had got in a few times in the first half, and they fluffed a few chances, Everton. I didn't watch the second half because I went to watch our game. But yeah, I can imagine that it wasn't great for West Ham. And one thing I can definitely say is, on the TV, after the managers, the atmosphere sounded so ridiculously flat, and I don't think that helped whatsoever. But no, it's a good win for Everton. I think they'll be fine this year. It looks like they finally got going a bit. I think thanks to the poor quality in the league and the poor teams that have come up, I think they might have a good chance of getting top 14 or 15. The teams below them are not bad. But no, fair play to Everton. They did well. I suppose they took a chance. Calvert-Lewin, very well taken goal. I don't know why Better didn't come on. He's been playing quite well recently. But that Chimiti on instead, that was quite bizarre. But no, they played very well, defended well for the goal. So Bramthwaite getting in front of Antonio, one of the strongest forwards in the league, completely knocking him off the ball. That was very good as well. So yeah, good win for Everton, and not too great for West Ham.
Yeah, just the atmosphere from the start was flat. I mean, Bubbles was dreadfully bland, I thought, and it's sad because I mean, a lot of fans went out to Olympiacos midweek, and were probably not too happy about that. A lot of them would have went out to Villa on the Sunday before, and I think the frustrations have just eked out, and there's been a lot of bottled up annoyance from fans that has come out, and there's been news today that Divine Mubama, the young striker, is refusing to sign a contract. And to be fair, I don't know why anyone's blaming him, because Moyes will not play him. He'll insist on playing Danny Ings, who is probably the worst striker I've ever seen in a West Ham shirt, and that's not even a joke, because he literally does nothing. Like, Sean, you support Spurs, but you would do a better job if you were on that pitch than Danny Ings. Like,
with Ings, because you've covered more or less everything I suggested anyway. But the midfield thing is fascinating because he's put Souček at 10 in a couple of games, and he had that little run. I think that's probably Paqueta's best position in around the 10 mark, centre of park. He seems to be picking the ball up. So, did he make a bit of a howler in the European game as well? Defensively, did he sort of lose it a bit like he did at the weekend?
Villa game, he did.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So he's picking the balls up in positions he doesn't want the ball really. You've got Kudus, he's playing him at 10. I think he's too much of an individual, and he's too similar to Bowen. You can't really have them next to each other because they both want to run at players. Do you know what I mean? So you probably got to put one on both wings. Ward-Prowse was playing at 10 for Southampton a season ago, actually the year they went down. So you've got a mishmash of players playing in roles they're probably not used to, and also when the players aren't happy playing the role, that's when you look like you're not trying or you lose heart, and that's what I think. It is a lot of square pegs and round holes going around that midfield a little bit. Kudos, he's a talented player. He doesn't look like a 10 to me though.
No,
But what you're saying about Ings, and I've made this comment a few, but he has been a shocking signing. But do you actually blame Ings, or is it that strikers struggle to play in David Moyes' system? Because there's no surprise that Skamaka wasn't happy and he's gone already. Ings has had about 1 or 2 good games since he come. Antonio's goal scoring record at West Ham it's like 1 in 4 or something like that. So no striker who plays up front for David Moyes' West Ham. None of them. I know Antonio runs about, but he puts lots of effort in. He was appalling the other day. Was it against Villa and Europe? I did watch all of them. These 3 games are blended into one a little bit for me. Who did you have before Antonio and the Moyes? I just wonder. It's easy to blame the player, but no, I can't think of many. Got no young striker now who's refusing to sign a new deal. It's not a club under Moyes where a striker would think, "Oh, I'll go there and get 20 goals." It's not. I feel for the strikers going there a little bit, is my honest truth. You watch them a lot more than me, but it looks like a proper slog for whoever's up front.
It is. Let's take some of your comments before we move on. Terry says we are back to where we were last season. Shocking against Villa, even worse against Everton. Yeah, I agree. No doubt about that. Joshua's granddad says we were like that with Liverpool last week until Keane gave the penalty away. Calvert-Lewin tracked that goal. Yeah, it was a good finish and it was deserved as well because Everton had a couple of great chances, and if they had a bit more quality up there, then they would have scored a couple more. And there's no doubt about that. I was so nervous for the last 20 minutes of the game and relieved in the end. I don't know why you were nervous, to be honest with you, because we didn't pose any threat whatsoever. So yeah, look, it is what it is. We move on to Arsenal midweek, which is going to be fun. Yeah. It's probably a game we could do without right now, but it is what it is. You never know. London derby, under the lights, obviously. The return of a certain somebody could revel the team up. I don't know, but a response needed. And we're live on Sky Sports, so if it's a public embarrassment, everyone can see it as well. We'll move to the South Coast next. Brighton 1, Fulham 1. I forgot about this game, to be honest with you. Over to you, Sean.
I don't know a lot about the game, to be honest with you. It's when I looked at the fixtures on Sunday and thought, blood, was there 5 or 6 games? I looked at 5 games. I thought, all right, and it's probably the one out of all 5 which sort of got lost amongst all the rest of them, really, because we're football snobs, aren't we? And we've seen Liverpool 3-0 up, blah blah. But again, I'll link this exactly the same as the Newcastle game. It's the best thing I can do, really. Brighton were at home as well, weren't they? And I think they went 1-0 up. Yeah, I think I haven't read or seen anything about it, but just by judging on the score, Brighton are a funny little team. They can go and score 3-4 against some teams, and then they'll ship in 3-4. Then a little draw like this, so they're going to be inconsistent by the look of it. They got a good enough team. Because I've said many times before, there's probably not many players off the team sheet as individuals. You take it, many other clubs really, 2 or 3 tops, but as a team, they're a good little outfit. But again, after a European tie, home, obviously Newcastle are away. So I suppose Brighton might have hoped to win this one. But it doesn't shock me. After Europe, especially Brighton, they are a smaller squad. I know he likes to rotate them a lot. You can never second guess what team he's going to play. The Zebra, whatever his name is. He changes midfield free like week in, week out. It's like almost a lucky dip out of a hat. But yeah, Fulham, bit like Wolves, I suppose, and Palace, like I said earlier, we're going to forget about them a lot this year because I don't think they're going to blow any teams away, not going to score any wonder goals or anything. But,
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
but it is a forgettable game. I probably talked about it more than it deserves, to be honest.
There we go. We'll move to Villa Park next. Aston Villa 3, Luton 1 in the Premier League. Back-to-back very good victories for Villa, Josh, and a Luton side similar to Sheffield United.
Yeah, well, we didn't really have to get out of second gear, to be honest.
Just like last Sunday then, really, wasn't it?
We could have had many more goals, but I still felt like we never really got out of second gear. That's now 12 home league wins on the spin. The last time we lost at home in the league was February, I think. So that's just ridiculous. It's unbelievable the job he's done. And yeah, we got the early goal. McGinn on his weaker right foot. Don't often see. Usually, you can hardly kick the ball with his right foot. That's good to see. He got one. And then Moussa Diaby also might see him playing very well. He had a very good start, right? Then he sort of went the last few weeks, but he got back in the score sheet yesterday, which is very good to see. But no, they were just horrendous. I don't know how we conceded. To be honest, it was just a silly own goal. When it looped over Martinez off the bar and then hit Martinez in the back and went in. Exactly what happened last season against Arsenal. But no, they were just really poor. You think they'd have a bit of quality like Ross Barkley in the midfield, but he's just so rusty that he can hardly run. He was very poor as well. Nakamura in the midfield for them. He obviously used to play for us. He wins the ball back, but he just gives it away again. The amount of times they looked for a pass and just kicked it out of play, which was ridiculous. They weren't too great, to be honest, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And there's another very good performance. We created a nice gap now between us and Brighton and Newcastle. We're now 5 points ahead of both of them. And I think we're a point behind Aston, Liverpool and Man City. So that's very good. We've got to try and keep up with them. And I doubt we probably will drop off at some point. But we're on a nice run of fixtures at the moment. And then I think we play City and Arsenal back to back. So that's when it'll start getting a bit tough. But no, 5th in the league after 10 games. And I think we're the highest scorers in the league as well. 26 goals. So in just this season alone. So that's very good. And yeah, I'd definitely take 50 in the season as long as we're somewhere around that top 8. I'll definitely take it. We've just got to, obviously there's a nice gap now, so we've just got to try and keep up with the top 4. But if we don't, I'm not too bothered as long as we just stay around the top 8 area. I'll definitely take that. A very good performance in Europe in the week as well against AZ. Completely blew them away, the semi-finalists last year, and we just battered them. So that was also very good.
We beat them in the semis last year on their way to Conference League victory. Oh, yeah. See, Sean, us good teams, we can beat these teams in the Conference League, you see.
Absolute rubbish.
Absolute
rubbish. Josh, you're definitely bothered about finishing 4th ahead of 5th, though. I'm not having that. I'm not having that.
You never know. We're on the same.
Look at his face. Look at his face.
I'm not having that.
If we keep, it's 10 games in now, and say don't look at the league.
No, you don't. But don't say you'll take top 8. I'll be over the moon with 5th. If there's a chance of 4th in April, you'll be loving that and wanting that more than anything.
I can't see us finishing low in top 8 with the start we've had.
Oh no, I know. Well, we 10 games in. Did you say?
Yeah. I get we'll drop off at some point. I know, especially if we go far in the Conference League. I expect to drop off, and I do think we'll probably end up coming 6th, 7th. But the fact that we're 5th at the moment, like you can't say we can't keep that up. Like we are. That's where we are right now. So I don't think we'll come 5th, but there's definitely a chance because we're especially with the team below us, United, Nottingham, well, Chelsea also. It's probably Newcastle that will come above us.
I know. I think we're about a quarter way through the season now, ish.
Sort of.
Yeah, I know it's way too early to be making predictions. Obviously, new managers can come and go, and anything can get spent in January. But I'm just thinking of how many teams I could see finishing above Villa with what Emery's doing. I'm just trying to think. I don't think Brighton will this year. I don't think Chelsea will this year. You never know. United, they could go on a run.
I think City, Arsenal, Liverpool are certainties finishing above us, and probably Spurs, but I do think Spurs will drop off and come about 4th. And then I think 5th is probably the most realistic. But anyone else, I wouldn't say. I think we can come finish above. I'd probably say
if I was a Villa fan, I'd want Newcastle to get out of the group, which they might do in the Champions League. I think the further they go in that, or even if they come further in the group, there's a chance they could go further in the Europa League. So I'd be wanting Newcastle to stay in Europe for as long as possible. I do think that'll affect them, and they'll probably buy again in January. But yeah, Villa are certainly up there in the mix for the top 6 and 7 European positions again. I can't disagree with that.
There we go. There we go. Right, we will move on and we'll move up to Anfield. Listen, I thought this game would be the one that was put on the early Super Sunday, but it wasn't. Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 0. It's been a lot of games this weekend, Sean, where we've gone, sort of a routine result, and I feel like this is another one.
Yeah, you're probably spot on there. Sort of game. I don't know what Forest records there, but sort of game at Anfield, you don't really hold out a lot of hope for the opposition, do you? Really? And they just get the job done quite easy. But on the other hand, this is Liverpool. They had Europa League in the weeklet, and I know they've got the stronger squad, the more experience, but it's just a example getting the job done. Obviously, home in Europe, home in the league, that fell on their lap a little bit. But it's just an easy couple of games from really, and I think Liverpool are my prediction to finish second in the league this year, and I'd actually probably still stick with that if I'm being truthfully honest. I think they've got weaknesses, but I think all of the current top 4, I think they've all got. I look at them and I see weaknesses in either the squad or the starting lineups. I can see flaws throughout a little bit, even though there is a gap forming a little bit. But yeah, Liverpool, I think they'll continue to turn teams over like this. I think the new signs taking a while to click in. I know, but I think I said before, the players they signed last year, like Nunes, players like that. I don't know if he's ready to kick on or not. They're the sort of players that I was expecting to flourish this season, where they probably come through mid-season last year or got a bit injury, suspension, things like that. But yeah, it's an easy result to predict for Liverpool, and I would still stick with them finishing second. I know we're going to do this every single week, predict where we think people are going to finish. It's just going to keep going like that. Even though we're only 10 games in, we're going to keep predicting it. Liverpool for second.
I tell you right now, Sean, you can bring me back to this in May. The top 4 in any order will be City, Arsenal, Spurs, and Liverpool.
Yeah, it's 10 games in, but yeah, I would 100% agree with
that. Let's move on. Bit of banter in the chat. Hey, Sean, in March we're gonna the West Ham official crew are going to meet Paolo Di Canio at an event, a proper legend.
Well, that is good. Yeah, he is. Yeah. Well, he is. He's a legend for some fans. I've heard a few criticising for various things, but yeah, that will be a very good evening.
It will be, for sure. Oh, the Ballon d'Or's tonight. So that's another one for Messi to put in his cabinet. That's chosen by a panel of nobodies. So that's fun.
Is Mickey van der Ven winning that or not?
Who?
Mickey van der Ven.
Who's he when he's at home?
Who's he? He's probably the best centre-back in the Premier League at the moment. That's who he is.
Oh, well, I think Craig Dawson's probably got a word to say about that.
No,
Let's move. Let's move.
He's the fastest centre-back I reckon I've ever seen in the league. Honestly, I've never seen anyone like it.
Okay, all right, good. I'm glad. He won't be there. Let's move to Old Trafford. Manchester United 0, Manchester City 3. It's almost like you could predict it before it's going to happen. City fold them over. Neville blames the Glazers. Keane criticises Fernandez. And we don't get anywhere else. An issue with Manchester United, before I let Josh far away. We've been there every year on a away day for the last 3 years. For the biggest club in the world, it's probably got the most tired stadium in the world as well. That away end is shocking. It is absolutely shocking. There's a lot of fundamental issues at that football club. I think it's rotten to the core. I understand what Gary Neville says about the Glazers, and I also understand what other people say about the performances on the pitch as well. They spent the most amount of money in England, and their back line read Lindelof, Johnny Evans, Harry Maguire, and somebody else. Josh, the issues are profound at Manchester United, and Manchester City took advantage once again.
Yeah, that away end, when you go up the steps, it looks like a prison cell. Honestly,
it's woeful.
Yeah, it's not the best. But they can blame the Glazers all they want, but they've spent £1 billion in the last 10 years, or probably near enough, not sure if it's, but close to that, if not more. I don't know, but it's around that. So you can't blame them too much. Like, There's 50 million Wan-Bissaka, 80 million Maguire, 60 million Casemiro, 70 million Højlund, 80 million Anthony, year in, year out. Like they're spending the money and they're just not getting anywhere. I just feel like they blame the Glazers too much. You just see what was going to happen. Really, you knew they were going to get torn apart. It could have been so much more if weren't thrown on and making a few really good saves as well. It could have been about 4-0 at half time. And when they celebrated like they won the Champions League in midweek after that penalty save against Copenhagen, that just summed up where they are at the moment. And I do agree with Carragher. You just can't see an identity in the moment. With Villa, you can see they're trying to, control possession, play a possession-based game. Liverpool, you can see it's more like a high press style. With United, I just really can't see any identity. I can't see what they're trying to do. There's a bit of counter-attack in there, and that's about it, really. I just got no identity whatsoever. Marcus Rashford, he's just, when he's out of form, he's not a player. It's just he randomly going these mad runs where he gets 10 in 10, and then all of a sudden he'll just be woeful. He's one of them. Fernandez, when it's going against, when things are going against him, he just sort of goes missing as well. Just strolls around and do get what Keane's saying with he's Everton, he wouldn't want the captain. He just moans and moans and moans. It's ridiculous, really. And then that challenge from Anthony at the end where he just booted the player was just ridiculous. Losing discipline like that is just.
I don't think I could dislike him anymore, but I now do.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, really. As Guy never said, I probably would have sent him off, and it's just stupid, really. And City tore them apart, and it's not a City team that have been in great form. Obviously, you probably expect them to lose, but losing the way they did, and when City not in the greatest circumstances, obviously last few weeks they lost 2 in a run to Wolves and can't remember Arsenal, wasn't it? So they haven't been in the greatest of form. To beat Brighton the weekend before that, they weren't too great. So yeah, it's not the greatest for United. I think they're somehow still about 8th or 9th, which again shows the quality of the league this year. And I just wonder how much time Ten Hag's got left. They're saying you've got to give him time in this, but I don't think they will. And I think if they wouldn't have got them 2 lucky late goals against Crystal Palace the week, he could have even gone then. And people are saying you'd be surprised if he gets to Christmas. I'm not sure about that, but you just don't know. I don't know what fixtures they've got coming up. It's not good for them. It's just the same cycle last 10 years. Although it is quite funny, to be honest, because they did win 13 titles out of 18 before that, so it is quite funny to see. But no, it's not big for them whatsoever. It's just the same cycle, really. They'll keep spending year in, year out. They usually have 1 year where they get top 4, and then the next they come about 6th or 7th and end up in the Europa League. It's just the same cycle, really. And yeah,
I think I saw a stat today where Manchester United have lost as many games at home at Old Trafford in the last 11 years since Alex Ferguson has left. In the 26-year reign that Alex Ferguson had at Old Trafford. You could be here all night talking about the issues at Manchester United, but fear not, Man United fans, if any of you are watching, we travel up to Old Trafford on the 3rd of February, so you can get your annual do nothing in the game but win 1-0 against West Ham. So don't worry about it. It's all going to be okay. Whoever's sorted the fixture schedule out, I'm not very happy as well, because we play them in the end of December, then we play them again in February. We'll be sick of them. Why do they do that? It annoys me. But anyway, I am digressing. That is the Premier League roundup show done for another week. Any final thoughts, my panel?
On United, I think, do you remember we said about West Ham being a very disjointed midfield? You got to look at them. They've got McTominay, who's like box to box. You've got Mount, who sort of wants to play a 10. Fernandez wants to play a 10. You've got Ericsson, who has always been better in a 10. Now he's sort of sitting, holding midfield. That's just 4 or 5 players. You know what I mean? Like, who's building this squad? You know what I mean? They've got endless pot of money. They cry about the Glazers all you want. They are spending endless money. Just they've got Casemiro. I think it's more or less come out that he doesn't even want to be there anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's whoever's building that squad. The Glazers aren't buying these players. They're not scouting these players. I know they're doing a lot of bad stuff in around the club, but there's money available, and whoever's choosing this squad, and that's before we get into like your Antonys and that. Do you know what I mean? This centre midfield, like, who's put that together? Do you know what I mean? That's just
Ralph
a shambles.
Ragnick.
I don't know, like Mason Mount. Who come up with the idea? I'll tell you what, we need a player that's out of form and can play 10. Mason Mount. Now they can't fit him in the
Just to
team.
add to the other 3 number 10s out of form.
Like, but he had a poor season for Chelsea. He couldn't get in the team the last year, so they paid over the odds for a player they don't really want or need. I don't know. There's no one's really these likes of Gary Neville. They're not really speaking about who's picking the players to buy. And for me, that is as important as the Glazers, because somebody's ticking the boxes, signing the checks for these players without saying, "Hang on a minute, do you not think we need another proper centre midfielder or a more proven winger?" Or I know Luke Shaw's injured, but they've took Reguilon on loan from us, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? He's our third choice left back. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's a baffling, sorry state
squad together. It's a shambles.
Yeah, it is. From top to bottom, at the Blues said United got too many ordinary non-first team players on high wages, 190k plus a week that they can't shift. That squad is rotting, and Eric Ten Hag is not finding a solution about it currently. We are going to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, everybody, for watching the Premier League Roundup show this week. There's plenty of content on the channel. The vlog from yesterday, I did a reflection this morning, and I reacted to the news of Divine Mubama rejecting a new contract at West Ham. Who the hell can blame him at this stage? Josh and Sean, I will see you next week. Until then, thank you very much indeed.
No problem at all. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. We will see you soon right here. West Ham Official. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers.